The room went quiet the second my dad said it. "You can take the guest room," he added, glancing at my mom, "or you can move out." It was said casually, like he was offering me tea or coffee, not like he was deciding where his own child would sleep. We were sitting at the dining table, the same table I'd grown up doing homework at. The same table where birthdays used to mean cake and candles, not ultimatums. My mom didn't look at me. She kept cutting her chicken into tiny, neat pieces, like this conversation wasn't happening, like I wasn't sitting right there. The guest room, the room they gave visitors, distant relatives, friends passing through, people who didn't belong. I was 24, back home temporarily after a rough year, laid off, burned out, trying to get my footing again. They'd said it was fine that I could stay until things settled. Apparently things had settled, just not in my favor. "I don't understand," I said carefully. "I've been staying in my old room." My mom finally looked up. Her expression was tight, annoyed. "That room isn't yours anymore," she said. "Your sister needs it when she visits. And frankly, it's time you stopped acting like this is permanent." Acting like this is permanent. I worked 2 jobs, I paid them rent, I bought my own groceries, I stayed out of the way, I didn't bring friends over, I cleaned, I stayed quiet. But none of that counted. My sister, who lived 3 hours away, visited once every few months, and still had her childhood photos on the walls, needed the room more than I did. Dad cleared his throat. "You're not a kid anymore. Adults don't live with their parents." I almost laughed at the irony. My sister was 30 and still had a key, still showed up unannounced, still borrowed money. But she wasn't the problem. I was. I looked around the table, at the chipped plates, the familiar smell of food, the house that never felt like home unless I was doing exactly what they wanted. "So those are my options?" I asked. "Guest room or leave?" Mom nodded. "We're just being honest." Honest? That word hurt more than the ultimatum because honesty would have been admitting they'd already made their choice long before this dinner. This was just the moment they finally said it out loud. I pushed my chair back slowly. My hands were shaking, but I kept my voice steady. "When do you want me out?" Dad hesitated for just a second. "Soon. A few days." A few days to pack up my life again. I stood up, pushed my chair in, and nodded like this was normal. Like this wasn't my parents quietly telling me I didn't belong under their roof. "I'll figure it out," I said. No one stopped me as I walked away from the table. Not when I went upstairs. Not when I closed my bedroom door. Not when I sat on the bed and stared at the walls that no longer felt like mine. That night, I lay awake listening to the house settle. Every creak sounded like a countdown. Guest room or move out. They thought those were my only choices. They had no idea what I was about to choose. I didn't sleep much that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I heard my dad's voice again. "You can take the guest room or move out." Like I was a suitcase they could store away or throw out. By morning, I'd made my decision. I wasn't moving into the guest room. That room wasn't a compromise. It was a message. You're temporary. You're tolerated. You don't belong. I went downstairs early, before anyone else was awake. Made coffee. Cleaned the kitchen. Muscle memory. Years of trying to prove I deserved space in a house I'd grown up in. My mom came in while I was wiping the counter. "So," she said, not meeting my eyes, "have you thought about it?" I nodded. "Yes." Her shoulders relaxed. "Good. The guest room is all ready." "I'm moving out," I said, my voice calm, like it was the most natural thing in the world. "I'll be out within the week, probably sooner." She frowned. "You don't need to be dramatic. We're offering you a room." "You're offering me less," I replied, and calling it generosity. Dad came in then, coffee mug in hand. He listened silently as my mom explained, adding little comments about me being sensitive, misunderstanding their intentions. Dad finally said, "Where are you even going to go?" That was the thing. I didn't fully know yet, but for the first time in a long time, the uncertainty felt better than staying. "I'll figure it out," I said. They exchanged a look, the kind parents give when they think their child is making a mistake and will come crawling back. I packed that day, not loudly, not angrily, just quietly, piece by piece. Clothes into boxes, books into bags. Old memories I didn't bother taking photos of. My sister's childhood trophies stayed on the shelf in my old room. No one suggested moving them. On the third day, my mom stood in the doorway watching me pack. "You know," she said, "most people would be grateful we're letting them stay." I looked at her. Really looked at her. Most parents wouldn't make their kid feel like a burden. She scoffed. "You're twisting things." Maybe. Or maybe this was just the first time I wasn't twisting myself to fit. That night I slept on the floor, surrounded by boxes. I'd already given the bed back to the house. The next morning, I loaded my car. Dad watched from the porch, arms crossed. No goodbye hug. No. Call us when you get there. Just silence. As I pulled away, I waited for the familiar guilt to hit. The panic. The urge to turn back and apologize for existing. It never came. Instead, there was relief. I moved into a tiny studio across town. Bare walls, cheap furniture, a mattress on the floor. But it was mine. No guest room, no conditions. No quiet reminders that I didn't belong. Weeks passed, then months. They didn't call much. When they did, it was surface level. Weather, work, nothing real. And I noticed something strange. The farther I got from that house, the easier it became to breathe. What they didn't realize was this. They hadn't pushed me into independence. They'd pushed me into freedom. And I was done trying to earn a place I should have had all along. They didn't notice at first. That was the part that hurt more than I expected. Not anger, not shouting, just how easy it was for them to keep living without me in the background. No calls asking if I was settling in. No, did you eat today? No concern. Then small things started to crack. My mom called one evening, frustration sharp in her voice. Did you take the folder with the insurance papers? No, I said. It's in the blue drawer, bottom shelf. A pause. Oh. She hadn't even known where it was. A week later, my dad texted, asking how to log into the streaming account. Then another about the Wi-Fi router. Then one more about a bill he didn't understand. I answered politely, briefly, like a guest. And that's when it shifted. They didn't miss me. They missed what I did. The silent fixing, the remembering, the emotional cushioning. One Sunday, my mom finally said it. The house feels different. I smiled, even though she couldn't see it. Yeah, it does. She hesitated. You could come over for dinner sometime. Use your old room. My old room. Not your room. Not your home. I'm busy, I said. And for once, it wasn't a lie. Life had filled in the empty spaces faster than I imagined. Friends who noticed when I was quiet. A job that didn't treat me like an inconvenience. Even silence felt kinder. A month later, my sister called. They're saying you've changed, she said. They think you're distant. I am, I replied. Distance changes things. She laughed awkwardly. You'll get over it. No, I said softly. I got through it. The final moment came on a random Tuesday. My dad called. His voice was different, less firm, less certain. Your mom's been upset, he said. She thinks maybe we were too harsh. Maybe, I waited. Well, he asked, don't you want to talk about it? I did, but not the way he expected. I've built a life where I don't feel like I'm asking permission to exist, I said. I'm not giving that up. Silence stretched between us. I hope you're happy, he finally said. I am, I replied, and meant it. They never apologized outright. Not really. But they stopped offering the guest room. They stopped making demands. And for the first time, they spoke to me like someone who could leave and stay gone. Because I had, not out of anger, but out of self-respect. Sometimes, the bravest thing you can do isn't fighting to stay. It's walking away and choosing yourself.